Television news at 2. I am Uyai and here can come to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the major stories. House of Representatives recommend 15% budgetary allocation benchmark for education. NLC shuts down government offices. Court discusses in Akwa Ibom, Edo, Ogun. Others. Plus, Dominica to create world's first sperm whale reserve. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. First in the news this afternoon is from the national scene where the federal government has launched an investigation into the cancellation of visas for 264 passengers who were airlifted from Lagos and Kano to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The passengers were denied entry upon arrival in Jeddah despite having valid visas and going through the Advanced Passengers Information System (APIS) during the check-in process in Nigeria. For passengers who had departed from Lagos and Kano were informed upon landing that their visas had been revoked at the airport. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through its special advisor Al-Kashim Abdulkadir, in a statement noted that it is now investigating the matter to determine if any consular or aviation rules were violated. He reported that it was only after the Nigerian embassy intervened that the Saudi authorities reduced the number of passengers who would be returned from 264 to 177. In the meantime, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Mahmouda Maman, has disclosed the intention of the federal government to assist vulnerable Nigerians' own houses. Maman made the disclosure while fielding questions from journalists on the first day of the 12th meeting of the National Council on Housing and Urban Development taking place in Kaduna State. This is contained in a statement by the Director of Information in the Ministry, Badamasi Salusi Haiba. According to Haiba, the Permanent Secretary said the National Housing Scheme program by the Ministry would assist the vulnerable population of the country in affording a roof over their heads, and this would in turn bridge the gaps in the housing sector. He further explained that the housing scheme was part of the efforts to realize the ambition and also in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. From the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has recommended a minimum of 15% budgetary allocation to the education sector. The Chairman, House Committee on Federal Polytechnics and Higher Technical Education, Adegboyega Isiaka, disclosed this during the inaugural meeting of the committee. The chairman noted that sub-allocation to technical education should be upgraded to not less than 30% of education allocation. Isiaka stressed that this, alongside other necessary systemic and attitudinal changes, would put the country on the path of national growth and global competitiveness in the 21st century skills market. He noted that the low pace of technological and industrial growth in Nigeria could be attributed partly to the inability of technical educators to utilize scientific ideas to promote technology. On labor matters, workers in Akwa Ibom State and several states have joined the strike action by the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria (TUC), which kicked off today, shutting down activities at several government-owned facilities. The Edo State chapter of the NLC downed tools at the government offices in compliance with the nationwide industrial action declared by the national body. The same scenario played out at the State High Court and the Edo State House of Assembly, where the gates were under lock and key. Meanwhile, in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, the NLC, TUC, and other affiliate bodies also national industrial action as instructed by their national leadership. Staff members of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company were reportedly stranded at the gate while the gate was under lock and key. Elsewhere, organized labor in Niger State has shut down schools, hospitals, and other government institutions in Minna, the state capital, in line with an indefinite nationwide strike order at the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria (TUC). Reports say some students in public schools who had arrived for lessons unaware of the strike were asked to return home. The state NLC chairman in Niger State, Idris Lafane, said the strike was in protest of the arrest and manhandling of the union's national president, Joe Atero. According to him, the non-implementation of wage awards to civil servants by the state government is also incentivizing the indefinite strike. In education, the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU) has told the federal government to remove universities from the list of agencies expected to remit 40% of their internally generated revenue (IGR). ASU, in a statement signed by its national president, Professor Emmanuel Osodike, after its National Executive Council meeting (NEC) at the Kaduna State University, Kaduna, explained that universities were not revenue-generating agencies, saying that the obligatory fees paid by students were to provide the necessary tools for them to be properly educated. Osadike maintained that deducting 40% of IGR from universities would impoverish the university system. Back on the home front, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has approved the establishment of 10 new dialysis centers, one for each of the 10 federal constituencies of the state. Consequently, the governor has directed the immediate commencement of recruitment and training of professionals to meet the manpower needs of the dialysis centers, which are to be fully operational by June 2024, announcing these at the Emmanuel General Hospital, Eket, where he commissioned the Inok and Foluadebuye Dialysis Center donated by the Redeemed Christian Church of God (RCCG). Governor Eno also ordered the deployment of relevant personnel from the state hospitals to the dialysis center to ensure that the facility is not underutilized due to lack of personnel. Describing the dialysis facility provided as a critical healthcare intervention, Governor Eno urged other religious and business organizations to emulate such robust corporate social responsibility gesture to partner with the government in developing the state, assuring of the readiness of his administration to partner in such direction. Earlier, the Intercontinental Overseer Christian Social Responsibility, Pastor Idowu Ilomade, speaking on behalf of the church, said the church, driven by passion for humanity and the need to bring help to people afflicted by the surge of kidney diseases, has through His Love Foundation set up 12 dialysis centers across Nigeria and was pleased to set the 13th in Eket, Akwa Ibom State, among other interventions. We move down to Africa, where a sudden and intense hailstorm has reportedly struck several parts of Johannesburg, blocking highways and damaging gardens, vehicles, car parks, buildings, roads, and other property. The Johannesburg Emergency Management Services spokesperson, Robert Moladinsi, said the flash floods from the storm hit some parts of the city, but no injuries or fatalities has been recorded. He added that authorities have provided emergency services to affected families and would remain on high alert to respond to any reported incidents. Still in Africa, Gabon's military leaders say they plan to hold a general election in August of 2025. This follows pressure from the international community to announce a timetable for the return to civilian rule. Announcing the plans, Gabon's junta said the proposed timetable was not final and would need approval from the public during town hall style meetings in April 2024. The Gabon's transitional leaders added that a new constitution is to be presented in October next year and adopted by the end of 2024 in a referendum. On the foreign scene, the Caribbean island of Dominica says it will create the world's first sperm whale reserve. The Dominica Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said commercial fishing and large ships would be banned in an area of the island's western coast measuring almost 800 square kilometers. Skerrit noted that the area is key nursing and feeding ground for the endangered mammals. The Prime Minister added that commercial fishing will not be permitted in the reserve, but artisanal fishing will be allowed as long as it is sustainable and does not endanger the whales. Still on the foreign scene, Palestinian Telecommunication Minister Ishaq Saidia has said that Gaza Strip is facing an imminent complete halt of communications and internet services. Saidia said the expected interruption is due to the depletion of fuel supplies and is expected to exacerbate the ongoing humanitarian crisis by hindering Palestinians' ability to reach emergency relief and rescue services. The minister added that an outage could prevent civil defense and Red Crescent teams from coordinating a response to emergency sites, characterizing the developments as a violation of international law and basic human rights. Still to come in the news. NPFL constitutes organizing committee for Youth League. Stay with us for details of this and more after the break.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
as we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong.
The educational history of public figures holds significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Thanks for staying tuned in now to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has said that the federal government has identified about $23 billion in investment opportunities in Nigeria for projects that are directly related to the country's energy transition plan, ETP. In his remarks at the second German-Nigerian Symposium on Green Hydrogen, Adelabu said the opportunities will not only provide electric power for economic development, but would result in significant net job creation with up to 340,000 jobs by 2030. He said the ETP would create up to 840,000 jobs by 2060, driven mainly by power, cooking and transport sectors, adding that gas would play a critical role as a transition fuel in Nigeria's net zero pathway, particularly in power and cooking sectors. Still in business, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has told the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to rescind its recently introduced price verification system. The Director General of the association, Segun Ajayi Kedia, stated this in an interview with newsmen. According to him, the CBN's price verification portal constitutes one of many government policies negatively affecting the activities of manufacturers in the country. The MAN DG urged the CBN to revisit some of its policies with a view to removing the bottlenecks affecting the activities of the real sector of the economy. On our health news, senior medical professionals have identified poverty as the biggest driver of high prevalence of malaria in Nigeria. They also listed ignorance, poor utilization of insecticide-treated nets, and anti-malarial drug resistance as other causes. Speaking in an interview, a professor of biochemical pharmacology at the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, Olusegun Ademowo, stated that poverty was a major factor that enabled malaria, a killer disease, to thrive in the country. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, malaria is a life-threatening disease spread to humans by some types of mosquitoes. The WHO further noted that the African region had a high share of the global malaria burden and was home to 95% of malaria cases and 96% of malaria deaths. Still in health, nutrition experts have said Nigerians should stop buying food items sold in dirty environments, warning that such foods are unsafe for consumption. The nutritionist stated that buying food from an unhealthy environment poses a significant potential hazard to public health due to poor hygiene and handling practices. The nutritionist, who spoke with newsmen, advised traders to stop selling food items close to or on top of refuse dumps, warning that such a dirty environment could introduce bacteria to the foods. In sports, Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) has constituted a committee for the maiden edition of the Youth League. The NPFL chairman Benga Elegbeleye made the announcement in Abuja. Elegbeleye said former Abia Warriors chairman Emeka Inyama will head the 7-man committee, noting that the aim is to ensure every NPFL club has a functioning youth team. He further added that the club licensing regulations make it compulsory for every licensed club to have a youth team that will participate in the youth league. Still in sports, Akwa Ibom State Football Association Normalization Committee has announced the prices of tickets for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier between Nigeria and Lesotho. According to the committee head of publicity, Basi Ibiariso, regular tickets for the popular stand will be sold for 1,000 naira. VIP tickets will go for 2,000 naira, while VVIP tickets are pegged at 5,000 naira. He noted that sales points for the tickets will be strategically spread for easy purchase across the state. Reports say that the Super Eagles are expected to start preparation for the game against the Dukiana today. The three-time African champions will have their first training session on the practice pitch of Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo. On our entertainment news, multi-platinum selling Nigerian musician and trailblazer Rema has sold out a headlining London date that displays his mettle as an international music star. Recall that in May he thrilled fans by announcing a must-see show at the 20,000-seated capacity O2 Arena in London. The concert will take place today in support of his debut studio album, Rave and Roses. The 22-track album features C-Lark, Chris Brown, AJ Tracy, Sludge, and Selena Gomez. Still on entertainment, Nigerian superstar Burna Boy has congratulated his fellow 2023 Grammy nominees and the recently announced 2024 Grammy nominations list. Nigerian superstars Davido, Olamide, Ashake and Ayra Starr were all nominated alongside Burna Boy and South African singer Tyler for the award. Burna Boy took to his social media account to express gratitude to the Grammys for the recognition while also congratulating his fellow African nominees whom he described as talented. The 2024 Grammy Awards is set to be held on February 5, 2024 at the Crypto Arena in Los Angeles, United States of America.